and welcome to Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist Aftershow. I'm Emily May, and we're so excited to break down Season 2, Episode 3, Zoey's Extraordinary Dream. And I am here with some incredible hosts. I have Brianna Pips here, who is an AfterBuzz host and producer and is a diehard musical theater fan, and she's been here for this Zoey's journey along, season 1 and season 2. I also have Brandon Hanna with me along for the ride, who is also a host and producer and part of the Schmodown. And I'm so excited to have both of them here to talk Zoey's. How are you guys doing?
I'm super excited to be back and talk about some Zoey's, some things I like, some things maybe we didn't like. What's going on with Max now? I don't know. But we'll get into
I know.
all that.
I feel like we all have mixed feelings about this episode.
Yeah.
Brie, are you doing good?
I'm excited to be here. I'm sad of how short this Max relationship lasted. I kind of felt like they were going to do this to me.
So, Brie, let's get into it then. How are your feelings after this episode? We had a lot of things going on. It was kind of all over the place. Yeah. We had Zoey dealing with all of these nightmares. We had her dealing with her new, fresh relationship with Max, dealing with her mom and her healing process. And then you have David and Emily dealing with their new baby and kind of new parenthood. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff happening in this episode than previous episodes. How are you feeling, Brie, about what tonight's episode brought?
I felt like there was parts of tonight's episode I liked, but all over, I was a little let down. It might partly be because of how quickly they just pulled Max and Zoey away. But, we all knew they kind of rushed into this relationship. I will say that I think that, if those are nightmares for her, then I think that we all could, those weren't too bad, girl. You're okay.
So we all want some Zoey nightmares, right?
Yeah, I don't find those to be horrible nightmares. I don't know about you guys, but they weren't happy necessarily, but not bad.
We can talk about it. I have all these questions about what we think the dreams mean, which we'll dive into a little bit later. So Brie, you have mixed feelings. Brandon, how are you feeling about this episode tonight?
I think I also have mixed feelings. I too am disappointed that they so quickly pulled the rug out from underneath us in terms of Max and Zoey's relationship, which literally just started, and now they're ending or going on hiatus or whatever it is.
Thank you.
Max said.
It was in the honeymoon phase. How can we be out of that already?
It wasn't the honeymoon phase. Let's be honest. This was they had a one night. I don't know how much time has passed. They made it kind of seem like they were a family, but it felt like a one night stand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seemed really early on and just a bit too soon for me as someone who's mostly been Team Max from the beginning. So I'm interested to see where things go with that now. Simon is kind of back into the mix, but Max and Simon are really good friends. But then we had Max getting super jealous at Simon getting brought up in conversation, be like, what do you mean you talk to Simon about more than just work? Yeah.
How dare you, right?
Also, can we get some scenes where Max and Simon are talking with each other? Because when did all of this happen? When did this transpire? When did he tell him all about his relationship? I need to see it.
It's in that group thread, that text.
It's in that group chat with Mo's in there too.
They had a Skype date.
Yeah, those are all valid points and valid questions because we didn't really see that conversation happen. We were just told through conversation that we chatted. But let's dive into one of the biggest topics of this episode, which is Zoey is being haunted by these dreams, right? We open with her kind of trapped in her mom's house in this very surreal kind of blue-gray hue of a house, and she can't get out, right?
With just a couch.
And with just a couch and very minimal furniture, nothing there. And so I want to get into what you guys think these dreams mean because, I thought they would stop once she moved out of her mom's house and back to her apartment. And so I thought, okay, maybe she needs to get past her grief and help, that will help. And maybe she needs to like move on away from her mom. But that wasn't the case. We saw that her dreams were really getting worse and worse in this episode. So, Brandon, what did you think the dreams meant? And what do you think their use is in this episode?
As I was watching the dreams, I wasn't myself entirely sure what they meant in the same way that Zoe didn't entirely know. And then Simon kind of brought it up in a way saying, you literally can't get out of your own way. You
Mm-hmm.
think that that's the metaphor. I'm still wondering if there's more than that. What I thought was particularly interesting, like you just mentioned, the only thing in the whole house, the only piece of furniture that was still there was the couch. And at one point in the dream, she sat in the same seat on the couch that we last saw her in season 1 after Mitch's funeral. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that there was probably some sort of meaning there, with her dad obviously being the main reason, her grief over losing her father being the main reason she's struggling, main reason she's having these dreams. But she also talks about work and relationship with Max, and there's like so many other factors involved. So I even found myself being a little confused as to what exactly is going on with Zoe, which I guess was the point because it's obvious that she doesn't entirely know as well, which is why we
Mm-hmm.
have the unfortunate, very brief end to her relationship with Max.
Yeah, I know. I feel like this show is taking us on a journey as an audience, and it's okay that we don't necessarily know what these dreams mean. Like we're on the ride with Zoe, and so I felt very uncomfortable with these dreams, and then especially the dream back at her apartment when she opens the door to herself, and that's very symbolic. It can mean like Simon says, you're getting in your own way, or you're not seeing your true self, or you're not confronting your true feelings. I feel like all of these interpretations can be a part of what these dreams mean. Bree, what do you think these dreams mean?
I mean, I'm right on par with you guys. Like, I think she is so lost in so many areas. Like, I don't think it's one thing. I think it's partly her dad and not
Mhm.
being fully on terms with that. I think it's rushing into this relationship and not knowing how to really tell him what's going on or say what she wants. I also think it's rushing into this promotion, as we see later on in the episode, with how she kind of is navigating things. Like, she's trying to be the best boss and she's trying to delegate, but she's very lost in that position as well. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things going on in her life where she really doesn't know what's going on anywhere and she feels very lost in every avenue.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, so let's kind of talk about her work status, right? And where she is with Simon. So Simon, we really only see him at work, right? So we really see that definite divide of like Max is at home and Simon is at work. And so she kind of Zoe, I feel like, has these dual lives where she's balancing these two relationships that she cares about a lot. So you could see that the pressure of work is getting to her. And she has things are going wrong. She finally delegates, right? She finally delegates to the rest of the fourth floor, but things still don't go right. And she's not sleeping and things pile up. And so she has this big blow up. And Brie, I wanted to hear your thoughts on this moment because she blows up at the team. And this, I feel like, was a pinnacle emotional moment for Zoe of
Yeah.
not confronting her feelings.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the way she blew up at them was something that had been building, that was not just about these baseball jerseys. I mean, she knows Tobin. She had to have known giving Tobin this responsibility was probably going to end up not the greatest.
We know a simple task like that is not great for Tobin.
Yeah, it's no surprise that he named the team that. It's no surprise that this is the logo. But instead of taking it out in the way that you normally would to someone that you already knew was is not surprised that these things happen, even if you wish that he wouldn't have done that. It had been this thing boiling over and over and over that she didn't know how to express to other people in her life, so she took it out on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's like that's a normal response to stress and grief. I feel like it's a normal. What I liked is like we all have been there. I feel like we all have lashed out and then regretted it. Brandon, what did you think about this moment, and what did you think this means for Zoe's professional career?
Yeah, I think you're on point with all that. It's a natural response for her to lash out in that way, even though it's obviously not workplace appropriate, which is why it was also kind of like classic Zoe, where later on she's like, well, I couldn't sleep, so I started making apology bracelets, or I think
Yeah.
something along those lines. So it's like she's like definitely trying to make up for it in her own way, and there is an interesting dynamic in the workplace over at Spark Point, where I feel like they can they've been getting away with some workplace etiquette that might not be acceptable maybe in the real world, but since this is like fictionalized television and all these characters are kind of like friends, there's like some weird lines that are maybe crossed sometime, like we saw with, I believe, George, like Tobin giving him a really hard time like, in episode 1 of this season. And so now even with these softball jerseys that are absolutely ridiculous, like, yeah, to a certain extent, Tobin did deserve to get yelled at, because what the hell is that?
I know.
And
And
the egg, yeah, the egg bar. Good effort. Poor
Yeah.
boy.
An egg bar doesn't sound terrible. Like, but was it only a hard-boiled egg bar? This is my question. Like,
That's
can we
what
do
I'm wondering.
omelet? Like, what kind of eggs we talking here? Can we have
Like-
some eggs and toast and bacon? Is there omelets available? Do we have some bennies? Like, or is it just hard-boiled eggs?
If they just did hard-boiled eggs, that would smell up the whole office. But you're right. If they just did like scrambled eggs and nice omelets, I feel like that would be really nice and professional. But that didn't go well.
No. Also, can we break down the song?
Oh, yes.
Because
I was just going to get to that.
I'm very confused by the song. I'm going to be honest.
So for this big workplace kind of team song, it was It's a Hard Knock Life from Annie, right? So we have another musical number. And so Brie, you're familiar with this musical,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I was very
I think people that are not musical people have to know this musical.
I mean, Brandon, do you know this song? Because this is like a legendary song. Everyone know, like it's.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's been in a production of Annie
or seen one
or seen it.
there was
it's
like 3 different television movies as kids in the 90s.
Exactly. So, did you feel like? I feel like this song. We'll get to kind of what our favorite song was. I feel like this song was like the least. Kind of, it didn't fit. It like felt out of place in the sequence of all of the songs we had tonight.
I would agree with you.
Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I would agree with you. And like, it just didn't fit in the context of what was happening, because the song in the play is about like this overbearing person who is taking care of these children that is basically using them for money and being terrible to them.
Yeah, taking advantage of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So are we trying to say that Zoe is the same as Mrs. Hannigan? Because that's a bit drastic.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty drastic. I feel like Joan was more Mrs. Hannigan than Zoe would be.
And just for Zoe just being upset that you picked a penis, basically, logo and a bro name, we're going to say she's a horrible person that's always keeping you down. And that, I don't know, it just didn't, that was the one part tonight that really didn't work for me.
Okay. Brandon, did you have any feelings about this moment?
Yeah, I think I would agree. I'm just like now trying to think about it. What would be a more appropriate song in that situation? I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, even in the moment, I felt like maybe they could have gone a different route here. This doesn't quite seem to fit. It's fun and all, but there was just something off about it.
Yeah, like it might have been too forced, maybe, that they were like, oh, we need another song, and this is a big moment for Zoe, so maybe let's try to find one. I've been trying to think, like, after I watched this episode, of what song would fit better, and I haven't figured it out, so I'm going to give it a little more thought.
I'm trying to think. I haven't watched. I know there's a musical. It's not softball, but it's baseball. There was a recent I can't remember the name. There was like a movie that they made a musical off of. Maybe there's something about baseball in there that they could have used.
Yeah, there has to be, there's, Damn Yankees is about baseball. There has to be some songs in there. But we could, again, Bree and I do this where we go back, where we could talk about musicals.
We'll think of something. We'll put it in the comments.
We'll put it in
You
the
guys
comments.
let us know if
Yes.
you think of there's a song that works better than what they did.
Yes, please let us know. So let's get into this other storyline of this episode, which is Maggie and Zoey are kind of teaming up in multiple ways. They're teaming up to kind of this process of healing, and Zoey's kind of trying to help Maggie work as a landscape architect in some way. And that kind of isn't really going well either. But they're also working on some puzzles. They're trying to like find things to kind of bond each other and continue to continue. Yeah, that's Poppy. She wanted to join us. She's just going to eat the plant. So again, they're going through this process of healing and trying to figure out how to help each other. So what did you think about kind of Zoey sticking around so long with Maggie and staying in the house for so long? And is it detrimental to her healing process?
I mean, I think they both need their own space. I think Zoey is projecting this thing, like maybe she's not ready to be alone. Maybe that's the real thing that's going on, because yes, your mom is worried about this meeting she has. I mean, that's just to be expected. She hasn't been on a meeting in forever. She hasn't done work in forever, and this is her first time doing it without her husband. So all of that is to be expected. But to put it that she's not okay for you to not sleep there, because I mean, besides doing this puzzle, how much time are you actually spending together? You still go to work during the day.
Yeah.
So I think that was maybe more of a projection, like she wasn't ready to go branch out on her own yet.
Mm-hmm. And Brandon, what did you think about this? Sorry. How did you think about this? Zoey kind of staying really attached to her mom and trying to help her with all this stuff.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent it is detrimental to Zoe's own emotional health, and it was just weighing on her too much. I think she was there for too long, and which is why I think we all felt, even Zoey felt, that her moving back to her apartment would make the dreams or the nightmares go away. So I think that's definitely going to help. Obviously, the nightmares haven't completely gone away, but this is definitely, at some point you have to move forward. She's not gonna be able to be there all the time. But luckily, I believe, I'm sorry, is it Jenna?
Jenna, the sister.
Yeah. So now
Emily's
she's
sister.
there. Yeah, she's there. Emily is not too happy about it, but at least now, like, she has someone to
a distraction.
a very fun distraction. I like this character a lot. She's bringing a lot out of Emily and David, and bringing a lot of fun out of Maggie. You know,
yes,
do you like that? Yeah.
Emily and David, they're not too happy about her, and I get it. Like, if she ate my last Pop-Tart, I'd be upset too. But she's there for Maggie in a big way.
I mean, not to get into predictions, but Zoey just left. They don't want her staying with them. There's an open room.
Bree's dropping the mic. There might be there's some predictions there. Do you think that? I mean, I would be very upset if someone ate my Pop-Tart too. So, do you think Emily and David are kind of being too difficult on her, like too harsh on her, on Jenny?
No, I think they're not being harsh enough. They're being very nice.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. She wanted to start this photo wall, right? This, like, do a whole photo shoot. And it is like one of the most difficult things to do a new photo shoot with a newborn and all the family. Like, that takes a lot of work. So she actually reminds me of a lot of people I know where they're like, they start a project and then they don't finish. Mm-hmm. And so I like how this character's added a little comedic relief and some kind of healing powers for Maggie, you know, giving her some support that she needs.
And on top of it, just to go back to, you know, is she hindering or helping? I've had friends that have, you know, had children and their family comes to visit, and it's under the pretenses. And I don't think that the family doesn't mean to do this, but it's under the pretense that they're going to come and help out with the child, and they're going to, take some load off of the parents. But in actuality, what happens is you feel like you have to host these people in your
All
house,
the time.
and you're
Yeah.
taking care of a newborn, and it becomes more trouble than help. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's happened with Emily.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Where you're like, oh, I have to think about lunch and dinner and think about having food in the fridge, and like I had enough Pop-Tarts for me, but not extra people. Like it totally makes sense that's a very like relatable kind of feeling that new parents have.
Yeah.
So let's get into this whole Max and Zoey thing, because this was like the topic of the episode, where they're kind of on the rocks right now, where Zoey's dreams, like she's not talking to Max at all. She is totally completely shut down, and we saw multiple moments of that in this episode. But then she opens up to Simon, and she has these really in-depth conversations with him, and he shares what he went through. And that, I think, is going to cause some trouble. But I want to hear your thoughts. Bree, what do you think about this kind of rumbling of their relationship and how they might be on the rocks?
Yeah, no, I think that's the big issue, right? That she can't open up to him, because he said it himself, and I would feel the same way, is you can hear everything I'm feeling. You know exactly where I am, but you're not opening up to me. So this is a one-way street happening, and that's very frustrating. And I get that Simon's easier because he's been through this. He knows what it feels like to have experienced this kind of loss that she's feeling. But why can't you also just say that to Max and say, I am having a really hard time with what's going on in my life right now without my dad here, and I feel it's hard to open up to you because you can't understand how that feels, and that's nothing against you. Like, why is that not a conversation that could be had? This is your best friend.
Yeah. And I find that really frustrating, that if this is your best friend, you should be able to share those feelings with him. And it's heartbreaking. Like, it hurt me to see that she wasn't opening up to him, because you can't jump into a relationship like that if you're not truly open and being communicative.
Yeah.
So Brandon, what did you think about kind of this whole new relationship? We see it kind of breaking apart before our very eyes.
Yeah, I found that dynamic frustrating too, where Max was kind of in a position where he was communicating with her, speaking openly and honestly about his feelings, and there was moments where she didn't give him anything at all. Even towards the end, she just kind of gets up and walks out of the room and doesn't say anything at a very critical moment, I think, where Max is obviously very concerned about the state of their relationship. One thing that I thought was particularly interesting was there was a moment maybe halfway through the episode where Max sang to Zoey, but we didn't get to see it. Like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
acknowledged that it happened. But we
Yeah.
had no
I forgot
idea.
about that, honestly.
So I wonder if they're going to revisit that at some point, about what was that song that Max sang.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Brandon, because that was I feel like a really poignant moment where it was very small, and if you weren't paying attention, you would miss it. But it was like she had a little blip. Like she had a little we didn't get that insight, and he didn't get that insight either. And so it's like we're deprived of communication. We're deprived of, because we are in on these songs with Zoey, and then now we're cut off as well. I feel
So
like
it's kind of like we're feeling like what Max is feeling.
we're feeling like, yeah, exactly. We're feeling what Max is feeling. So we're cut off from hearing what those thoughts are, you know? I want to get into like the music of this episode. So this whole song near the end, I think was the most powerful. It was Say Something. And Max just sang his heart out. You saw him it was heart-wrenching, right? But we also had, again, we had the Annie song, we had One Call Away, we had Someone You Loved, and then we had Nowhere to Run to Baby. So we had kind of a mix of like some classic songs and some modern love songs. Do you guys have a favorite moment in this episode? Just kind of musical number.
Yeah.
Brie.
Say Something was definitely it for me. It was just so heartbreaking, and Skylar Astin did such a phenomenal job with the song and the emotion behind it. Like I literally I had a tear fall.
Aww.
It was because it's so relatable. It's so relatable to feel like that feeling that you're trying so hard and you don't feel the same
Mhm.
um, response back to what you're doing, and you don't know what else to do. You're like, I'm giving up because what else can I do? So
Yeah.
I thought that one was really just the groundbreaking one for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was a really powerful moment. I feel like it was the most powerful song I think so far of this season, and it really kind of drew you in. And Skylar Astin sings it like no other. Brandon, what was your favorite song?
Yeah, I also agree. I think it was "Say Something" by a landslide. The song fit perfectly in the moment thematically with what was happening in the show, and Skylar Astin absolutely crushed it. She
Yeah.
is certainly one of one of the more talented singers on the show, and so like it's moments like this where he gets to really shine, and I think just elevates the show just a little more in moments like this. We saw like similar moments last season, but with different context. Obviously, this is a more sour note.
Mhm.
So I'm interested to see now what we're gonna see from Max musically in the future if they do get back together. I feel like there has to be just as much of a grand performance for their coming back together as there was now for their breaking up. So I'm looking forward to that because Team Max all the way.
Bree, are you crying? Are you okay?
I'm okay right now.
You're okay.
I'm
Yeah.
okay right now. We
What?
had the crying bit. I recovered.
You recovered? Okay, good, good.
Good.
What I found interesting is "Say Something" is usually a duet. There is, like, the Christina Aguilera version, she's behind it, like, kind of ethereal, and so I'm wondering as well, like, is there gonna be a duet or some type of moment with Zoey and Max
I mean, I
later
think
on?
that speaks to a bigger thing of like she didn't need to duet him because he, didn't know how she felt, but she knew exactly how he felt. She
Mhm.
didn't have to give up on him because she knew that he was all in. She
Yeah,
just wasn't all in.
yeah. I
Yeah,
feel like
and
it was too soon.
I think it also speaks to how it's a song that's supposed to be a duet, but he's singing it alone, just like he felt
Mhm.
like he was the only one communicating and she was
Yep.
closing him off. So I think that was probably very intentional in a multitude of ways.
Yep.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. We can break down these songs all night. So there's also kind of on a more kind of a happier, lighter note. We have Mo and Max kind of going into this new venture, right? And we got a small glimpse of the next steps in that journey. And they're going to take on this new building, take over this new building, and transform it into their new. They're not calling it a restaurant. I don't know what they're calling it really. Um, what Bree? What do you think about this kind of
I
business venture and this partnering? I'm trying to figure out how I feel about this new kind of.
the partnership I'm all for, but the real estate agent expressed exactly how I felt because she was very confused, and so am I. Like, I don't think that I can understand this concept until I see it in play. I It just sounds like we're all getting together and postmating whatever food we want in a
Mhm,
building. So you're just going to rent a building for me to sit in. That's how I feel. But
yeah,
maybe I just don't get it.
yeah. Brandon, how do you feel about this?
I think that they're gonna accidentally fall into a business model that works because they made a point to say that the building itself still had its liquor license. So I feel like they're gonna draw
Yep.
people in with this like
They're going to be a bar,
yeah, it's basically gonna be a bar where where the people just show up to Postmate food from different places,
a
but
bar
then
that's okay with you
but
bringing
then
your
they're
own
like,
food.
hey, while we're here, want to get a drink?
I mean, I've done that. I've been to a local bar, like it's small, and you
You
just
could bring
go
your own food.
and you can bring your own food. They because they didn't have a full menu, but they wanted you to keep drinking. So part of it was like you order your beers and you postmate your food. So it is a thing.
Yeah, I guess that
I
would work.
I'd probably equate it to going to the movies where like the bar is like the concession stand and you're there to watch
Mhm,
the movie, but they don't really make much money off the movies. So maybe there's like a
That
little
makes sense.
like a small fee to get into the building, but they
mhm.
probably are going to make most of their money off the liquor. And I think it's just going to be a happy accident that this crazy
Yeah.
idea of Max's is going to work out somehow.
Yeah, no,
Also, that quick little drop, like we didn't know that um, Mo had broken up with her boyfriend.
We did
right?
not know
like,
that.
We didn't know this.
That was like a quick little
That
drop.
was like
Yeah, they just like slid in there real quick.
they were like, how do we get over this storyline like that? We'll just have Max say it.
Well, and then that makes me wonder, is that why Mo was so upset in the previous episodes and lashing out and not wanting to do this new kind of business adventure because he was like so upset and so hurt,
Yep.
you know? So yeah, it was kind of weird how they threw that in there. I'm hoping that next episode or in future episodes, we kind of see what's going on there and kind of what happened.
But also, it doesn't surprise me at all that Mo is the one that's kind of like the deterrent in buying the building or anything like that. Like, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, totally. So let's get into our heart songs. So this is our, last week we talked about, we played our game, right? We played our two truths and a lie, but now we're going to go back to
our Victoria.
Which, Brie, you were really good at. You get the gold star for last week's episode. So let's kind of go into what our heart song would be, our inner monologue, if we had one, of music. And I wanted to focus on the theme of this episode, which I believe to be kind of breaking away from feeling trapped or feeling stuck in some place. And so I want to get your song for what you would sing in order to break away. So I'm going to start with Brandon. And what is your song?
Okay, let me just pull up my notes here really quick because I like to come prepared. So my song that I went with is the song Movement by Hosier. So this is a little, I guess, counterintuitive to what you would initially think when a song about breaking free, because obviously with what happened in this episode, you would immediately go to breaking free from someone or something and feeling that like liberation by being on your own. This is a song where you get that freeing feeling, being moved, feeling like passionate and wanting to move forward, not by something or someone leaving your life, but by something or someone entering your life. Like when you look at like the first two lines of lyrics from this song, it says, "I still watch you when you're grooving, as if through water from the bottom of a pool." And so for me, that's like looking at water through the bottom of the pool. You see the light shining down and shimmering, reaching its way all the way to the bottom. And so I take that as something or someone coming into your life like a light shining on you, making you feel liberated, new, whole again, inspired, and moved to be free and do something, and be more yourself and be happier in your life. So that's
so beautiful.
I really love that. I really love that.
So
I'm gonna have to go listen to that. Brie, what about you? What's your heart song?
Mine was completely opposite and completely on the nose. Literally, you texted this to us, and I was like, I want to break free from Queen. Like, it says it in the title. So that's all I could think of was I want to break free from Queen, and that song just played continuously in my head after you texted that to me.
Okay, so that's a good one. That one was my number one, Brie. I have to tell you, that was my one. But now that you said it, I have to pick a different one. So
we can share
it. We can share it. We'll joint share it. But I feel like one of the other songs that I feel like has been one of my anthems for kind of breaking away from a negative cycle and breaking away from things that are not good for me. So I'm going back to a Kelly Clarkson song because she's my idol. And and I know she's we had a song on Zoey's of hers last week. And so I'm going to do Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson because that's just, that's about growing up and becoming stronger and breaking away from all the negative parts of your life in order to be the best person you can be. And I feel like that's what Zoey's trying to do right now, is she's trying to find her place in the world and being a better person for the people around her, like her mom and Max and her coworkers. So
can I tell you that song, which it was the year before I graduated, but that song broke the however many year streak of Green Day's time of your like, is it Good Riddance? Is that what it's
Oh,
called?
Good Riddance. Yeah, the
I hope you
graduation
had the
song
timing
that
right.
they
Yeah,
played all the time. Yeah.
that was like my school's graduation song for, I guess, whenever that year that song came out, up until the year 2005, which was the year before I graduated, and then they chose Breakaway from Kelly Clarkson.
There you go. It's
It broke the
song.
streak.
It broke the internet, guys. So thank you all for sharing your heart songs with me. I appreciate it. So we want to know, leave a comment and share with us what your heart song is, because we want to know, or you can tag us on Twitter and we'll get back to you because we like to hear what you all think. So let's get into predictions because there's a lot going on. We saw the trailer for this coming week. So Brandon, what do you think is going to happen with Max and Zoey? Like, what are your thoughts? What's going to happen?
Oh, I don't know. I definitely think they're going to try to be just friends, but it's going to be very difficult, probably particularly for Max. Similar to how we saw last season, I think Simon is going to be back in the mix a little more. Maybe Max is going to get jealous. Maybe Simon's going to make a move. I don't know. I think they're really trying to bring this love triangle back, so it's going to be interesting to see how things go with that. And yeah, hopefully Tobin comes up with a better design for the softball team jerseys.
And I kind of want to be a part of this softball team. I want to join. Bree, what do you think is going to happen in the next few episodes? Because we could have love triangles come back. We could have so much happen.
I definitely agree with Brandon. We're definitely going to have a love triangle come back. Simon is going to look at this as an avenue, whether or not he purposefully does or it just happens to turn out that way. It's going to be an avenue for him and her to reconnect through loss. And just friends doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's once you've got, like, it can work, but not this quickly. It's got to be like years of time apart, being with other people, and then eventually if you guys like reconnect, then you can be friends. But this is too quick. So nope, it's not going to work. He's going to be extremely jealous. And whether or not Zoey and Simon get together right away or not, he is going to assume that happens. That is what I think. Also, the mom is going to hook up with this guy.
Oh, that's what I was going to bring up too, because we forgot to mention Maggie's like successful pitch, and then it went well the second time. And Bree, I think you're right. I think Maggie is going to have a new love interest. It's going to be this new guy who is quite handsome.
I feel like I know this actor. I need to go look him up because I'm like, I know him from something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I agree, Bree, that and Brandon. I think there's going to be some love triangle stuff happening. I think Simon. I believe Simon is a good enough guy where he wouldn't make a move, but I think once he hears that they're just friends, I think he'll kind of test the waters a little bit. And then I think Maggie is going to find some love, or maybe not a love interest, but maybe some comfort in a male companion in some way. I think this Jenny character might have some more to do with Maggie's inspiration. I think might inspire her a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then I think Zoey is going to we're not quite at Zoey's, she hasn't hit rock bottom yet. I feel like there is going to be a few more times where she's slowly going to have to confront her feelings, and she's not there yet. And it's going to be really hard. And I'm not sure what that wall is going to be that she's going to hit in order to get through it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, well, thank you all for joining us for Zoey's Aftershow. I appreciate it. Brandon, where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BrandonHannah07. You could also find me over at youtube.com/BrandonHannah, where every week I do a science news show where we break down and discuss exciting science news stories of the week. And we learn along with you, everyone watching. It's like one big science classroom of fun, all online. So join us if you're into that sort of
thing. Awesome. What's your topic for this week?
Oh, I don't know. I try to figure it out the day before, that way, in case any new science news breaks.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Smart.
Oh my gosh, that's so smart. That's why you're doing the science show. Bree, where can people find you?
You guys can find me everywhere at Bri, BRI_Phipps, PHIPPS, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the stuff. And I am going to be starting a new series where I will find out what exactly is the best movie musical. So make sure to follow along for that.
And is that with me? Because that sounds like something I should be a part of. No, I'm just kidding. I'll just give you ideas.
You can totally join along, Emily. We'll connect afterwards.
Oh
we'll
my
make
God.
sure it happens.
I know, I'm just putting myself out there. I'm going to join the science show and that. Well, I really do appreciate you guys joining me every week. I love chatting Zoe's with you. And let us know what you think is going to happen with Team Max and Zoey. We don't know. So I'm Emily May. You can find me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller. And until next week, remember, follow your heart song.